Hi, this is Brian Albright with Aftermarket Business World Magazine. Thank you for joining us today for our discussion about how the e-commerce channel affects the supply chain. I'd like to welcome our guest today, Brian Littlefield, the Director of Segment Marketing at UPS. Thank you for joining us today, Brian.
Thank you for having me, Brian. And today we should both find it pretty easy with the two Brians on the call today.
That's right. All right, well, I'm going to launch right into our questions then. First off, how does the use of e-commerce technology affect the structure and velocity of the supply chain?
Well, I guess first I'll talk about the velocity of the supply chain. And really it's been driven by the consumer market and the demand and how quickly the consumer market has wanted to receive products. The velocity at which the B2B world has had to incorporate the B2C concept. So how quickly product and inventory has to move through the supply chain has changed dramatically over the past 5 to 10 years, without a doubt. So from a velocity standpoint, a supplier has to have the ability to be very nimble, very flexible, as well as meet these new demands that I have to get product in, have the inventory available, and really fulfill orders at a pace that didn't really take place 5 to 10 years ago, without a doubt. Now, in terms of structure, it's changed the need for where I have brick and mortar physical presence. In the past, the model was somewhat regionalized, where I could service a market kind of right around my physical presence, whether that was a retail store or distribution in a time in transit, how long it took me to get to my customer. E-commerce has really driven that to be, I can be fulfilled from anywhere. So my customer could actually reside anywhere, whether it's a business or a consumer, could reside anywhere around the globe. And from a receiving the product scenario, they have the ability to receive the product just like they did when it was just down the street in the old format of brick and mortar. So if I need it in 1 day, if I need it in 2 days, if I need it in 3 or 4 days, those can all take place in today's world of e-commerce. So it's definitely changed kind of how I look at operations and physical presence, as well as the velocity at which I need to have new products, new SKUs to my portfolio to keep customers, and how quickly I need to fulfill those orders to my customers.
Well, what are some key steps that companies can take to make sure that they're operationally prepared and also that the physical structure of their supply chain is ready to accommodate a shift to having an e-commerce channel in their operations?
Sure. The steps, and I wish there was a checklist that I could send out to everybody. It doesn't necessarily work because there's usually kind of a unique scenario for each customer. But in general, it usually starts with the visibility component. So do I have visibility of the inventory that I am capable of fulfilling orders with? And as long as I can manage the visibility of that inventory, I know where I can sell, whether it's on my own website, in my retail store, or some other channel. The key to it is having the right inventory. So from a physical setup, and step one is usually very detailed, sophisticated inventory management and visibility. Then from visibility, it turns into kind of, what am I going to fulfill from my own physical distribution outlets, and what am I going to fulfill directly, drop ship from some other supplier or even the manufacturer. So it's working out the physical steps in terms of that, and obviously having the billing. So how do I then get paid? How is that transaction occur? And all of that comes, again, with visibility of inventory and then visibility of the entire transaction from the order taken all the way till the completion of that delivery. Those are all changes in kind of the physical setup of distribution as we've seen it in the last certainly several years.
Well, what are some of the key benefits then that employing the type of e-commerce solutions that are available out there can provide that will help companies reduce cost and or increase sales once they've established an e-commerce channel and they're making that transition?
Right. One of the things that we recognize when we're talking to customers and we really get into this discussion around e-commerce channels, it's this perception that it's one or the other. And one of the things I would say to address your question is e-commerce needs to be evaluated as an additional channel to support the current channels that I go to market today. So you still need to be able to support a physical store presence, customer service, or an account executive sales force today. You need to have the ability to make phone transactions, the ability so it's really about the customer having access to you in multiple ways. And so, thinking about kind of what it does in terms of changes that it makes, it allows you to grow. So it's about revenue growth, not replacing what I do in a sales force today. If I add or expand an e-commerce channel, I have the ability to grow top-line revenue, improve kind of my interaction, how customers want to buy from me. I get into consideration where in the past, if all I had was a catalog and a physical sales force and the customer wanted to transact with me online, again, this allows a broader range of getting in consideration to get that next order. It really also allows customers to reduce cost. So as you become more efficient, again, we're not replacing necessarily sales, account executives as we know it today, or a catalog, but you could certainly become more efficient. So maybe the items that I put online in an e-commerce channel are the items that are regular order items. And it becomes more efficient. I don't waste the time of a sales agent having to take orders for items that are recurring. Maybe it's a recurring order situation. And so my entire process of interacting with my customers becomes more efficient. It becomes broader. I reach a greater base. And in the long run, again, it's about growing top-line revenue while still obviously reducing those costs and becoming more efficient.
All right, well, thank you very much for joining us today for our e-commerce discussion, Brian.
No, I appreciate you having me. Thanks a lot.
Well, for Aftermarket Business, this is Brian Albright, and thank you all for watching.